marine weather statement for the Pacific waters issued by Environment Canada at 2122 Pacific Daylight Time, Saturday, July 22nd. Central coast from McInnes Island to Pine Island. Seas 1 meter. Wind southwest 10 to 20 knots. Backing to southeast 5 to 15. Late overnight.
We're just making a quick bagel breakfast here because we need to get underway and out of Miles Inlet so that we can traverse Cape Caution. Slack is in about an hour or so, so we really need to haul up the hook and get out there before the current gets against us again. So here we go. It's just a quick salmon bagel, pot of coffee in the thermos, and hook up and out we go.
There's supposed to be a nice southerly blowing outside of this little gunk hole, so we're gonna stick our nose out and see if the weather is true to forecast, and then based on that we'll be able to confirm our decision to go around Cape Caution. If it's looking good and we're feeling comfortable, then we're gonna go for it.
We've just left Miles Inlet behind us and we're entering back out into the northern end of Queen Charlotte Strait. It looks pretty calm out here at the moment. There's not really much wind. The seas are still nice and glassy. We're just going to motor towards Cape Caution. If the southerly turns up, we'll put the sails up and we'll get underway. There's a little bit of scattered sunshine, breaking up cloud. It's 10:25 right now, so we're pretty well bang on slack, which will be nice as we motor past, what is it called? Slingsby's Narrow, which is where all the water from the Kwakwaka'wakw rapids runs out, and that area can get quite troublesome with the current sometimes, so at least we'll be going past that more or less at slack, turning onto a flood, so it should be fairly benign, which will be nice, and then we'll probably just have the tiniest little building current against us as we come up to the Cape. Once we pass the Cape, the flood currents diverge, so the flood floods south of the Cape and north of the Cape. So once we cross past north of the Cape, we should be riding with the current for the rest of the day. And the wind, hopefully. So we'll just see how we go. We'll take it nice and easy and we'll keep you informed.
We're just past the entrance to Slingsby Channel, which is perfect timing for slack. The water is nice, flat, calm, and we're just starting to feel the wind fill in from around Vancouver Island. So we're thinking we're gonna put up the main and see if we can't motor sail for a little bit here. There's a mega cruise ship passing us, and there's a couple other motor vessels and sail vessels that are motoring. It's good to be in some company. So far, so good.
Up.
Up there?
I think so. Okay. The wind was supposed to pick up today. It's meant to be calling for, so right now the forecast says it's meant to be 15 to 25 blowing from the southeast, which would have been great downwind sailing, with swells of 1 to 2 meters. That's definitely not what we have. We have barely enough wind to keep the main from flogging, and like maybe 0.8 of a meter, 3 feet of swell, just generally rolling in. Like the wake we get off power boats cutting in front of us is usually steeper than these swells, so there's really nothing to it. Bummer. I was looking forward to sailing today. We didn't get our Willy Wonka golden ticket to the chocolate factory of rounding Cape Caution, but nevertheless, Cape Caution to starboard, we're here, and it feels absolutely fabulous to be finally passing Cape Caution and heading up into the Central Coast. We have officially rounded Cape Caution. Cape Caution is here. We're about a mile off. There's a huge granite shelf that comes right out from the Cape, about 2 miles out into the ocean before it drops down, which makes this area such a notorious body of water. The Cape is completely open to the ocean swell between the northern tip of Vancouver Island and Calvert Island, meaning that you get all the swell coming across the Pacific and crashing straight onto these shallow rock shelf jutting out of Cape Caution. So when it is blowing and the sea state is horrendous, this is actually a notoriously terrible body of water to be in, which is why they called it Cape Caution. All the other Great Capes are named after, usually old British white dudes, and this one's just named Caution. So be aware. But it feels really surreal to be rounding it. You read so much bad press about crossing Cape Caution. It really reminds me of when we were planning our trip up Butte Inlet, and basically everybody's piece of advice was just don't go, you'll die. And it's okay, well that's probably just an exaggeration, but you know what I mean? There's a fear that comes with crossing a bit of water that's really scary, and today it's a little mellow roller coaster. It's fantastic. We're just motor sailing across. So if you do your planning and your research, it's really nothing to be too terrified of. That said, I would have liked a little bit more wind so we could have just sailed around it. Here's what it is.
I made a beef stew last night in anticipation of this crossing. I thought it was going to be a little bit windy and cold, and it's sunny, hot, and beautiful, but we're still going to have nice warm soup on this beautiful hot afternoon.
We are just passing Egg Island to starboard over here, which marks kind of the entrance up into Rivers Inlet and Fitzhugh Sound on the inside of Calvert Island. So we're nearly across the exposed part of the crossing here. We do have a little storm off to port that looks like it's moving in fairly quickly, so we're probably about to get wet for an hour or so, I would say. It doesn't look too wide, maybe a mile or so, so I think it'll pass pretty quick. It's moving along nicely. I do hope we catch a bit of wind off it so we can actually sail. That would be nice. Apart from that, swells has increased a little bit. I would say it's about a meter or so, but it's still quite comfortable and rolly. We've been cruising along with the main up. We find that when we're motoring through swell, the main really helps to stabilize the boat so it's not so tippy. I think it gives, as the swell hits the keel, it gives something to push against the atmosphere to kind of keep the boat nice and stable. So it flogs around a little bit, but it does make the ride fairly comfortable. So yeah, we got about 14 nautical miles to go, I think, to where we're going to anchor tonight, over on the other side of Fitzhugh Sound. So should be there around 4:30, around slack. Maybe we can do some jigging on the way in if the conditions are nice. There's a couple of really protected gunk holes up there that we are going to go check out. Now here in Fitzhugh Sound, and we just had the most spectacular greeting welcoming party, I guess, from a humpback who breached no more than like 100 yards from the boat. It was absolutely spectacular, but you know, with humpbacks, they don't really plan these things out with you, and they just kind of like shoot out of the ocean like rocket ships, and then they disappear again. So we didn't capture it on camera. But we are arriving here at Penrose Island Marine Park, and there's a beautiful little anchorage here called Fury Cove that we've read about. I think it's pretty popular, but it's been a pretty long day, so I think it'll be just a good space to hold up for the night. It looks beautiful, it looks spectacular. There's tons of people fishing around here, so probably a good place to go if you like that kind of stuff. Let's go in and go check it out.
Well,
sorry, you can go first.
well, we did it. We did it.
We did it. We made it around Cape Caution, and we got here just in time because as we anchored, pulled back on the anchor and everything set in, it started to rain.
Yeah, it's actually pouring now.
Yeah.
That was impeccable timing. We did not get caught in the rain all day until this very second, me setting up the camera here like this. So
yeah, managed to stay dry for the entire time and just watch every little cloudy, rainy, squally thing just pass us by. So much for the 15 to 25 knots marine weather Canada.
It definitely wasn't southerly blowing 25 knots. It was dead calm for most of the day. And although we didn't get to sail, it was a beautiful motor.
It was.
And it feels really good to be here on anchor. This is as north as we've ever been. So
yeah. We're going to be
really
saying that a lot this season as we go north. We're going to be like, oh, every day, this is as north as we've ever been.
All right, well, I'm getting soaked on this side, so
yeah.
I think we're going to wrap this up here.
All right.
We've got some celebratory beers.
Thank you.
Cape Caution beers. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to you.
Woo!
Cheers to me.
Yeah.
And cheers to you guys.
Tasty.
Salut.
Oh,
lovely.
Don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week.
See you then. Cheers.